walking the walk, talking the talk, telling you what a CEO is all about. This is the podcast for she's only. We share our stories of leadership to inspire you. So welcome to the She Sleeps, the podcast for she's only. She's only a woman in leadership. So come on, CEO, you should join the show. She Sleeps podcast with Jodi Hood.
Hello, and welcome to She Suite's podcast with your host, Jodi Hood. This is the place where She Suite executives laugh, cry, we thrive, and we survive. We share untold realities that men in the suite will never face. Now, today it's going to be really quick, guys, but I started my series on introverts rule. And last week we talked about the myths of introverts, which I am a confirmed introvert. But today, real quick, we're going to talk about interview strategies, the introvert and the interview. And I'm just going to tell you, being an introvert, we have problems on interviews. That's right. And one of these problems is that people often mistake us for being shy or antisocial. And we know that is not necessarily true. In fact, we can be just as social as extroverts. But it's just that we don't wear emotions on our sleeve. So sometimes we are misunderstood in the interview process. So let me tell you, I'm going to give you a few tips that you can do when you prepare for the job interview, and what we can do during the interviews. Now, firstly, find out where the interview is going to be ahead of time. That's right. That's going to reduce a ton of stress. And guess what? You may even drive to the location or take public transportation just to see how long it's going to get there. This way, you will know exactly how to get there on the day of the interview, and you'll know exactly how long it takes, so you don't have to worry about being late. And in this climate, though, a lot of interviews are virtual, which is a beautiful thing for introverts, let me tell you. Now, find out who's interviewing you. That's right. If you can find out who the interviewer is going to be, that, you can get a little bit of background research. Yeah. And that'll put you at ease, especially if you find out that you have something in common with them. And it'll make it much more easier to engage with the interviewer, because you know how hard it is for us to make small talk. Now, the next thing we can do is to do a little research on the company. And I think everybody should do this, whether you're an introvert or extrovert. But for us, let me tell you, it helps if we do this ahead of time. And if we prepare, let's see, what is he going to ask us about? So know everything about the company and write down a few questions that you think he might ask. And one of them is, why is it that you want to work for this company? Now, we are thinkers, so it really will help if we have that done in advance. Now, this is not uncommon. Everybody does this, but for the introvert, you may want to do a little bit of research on the position. Okay, because if you do the proper research, you're going to uncover a few questions that you might have about the position as well. Because typically they always ask you, do you have any questions? And you want to have those questions. You don't have time to think all the time. You can't think a long time. But if you've done that in advance, that will help you out tremendously. Now, the next thing is, like I said, introverts, we have issues with answering questions quickly. Right. Why? Because like I said, we like to think about a question in detail because we like to give a thorough answer. All right. But you know what? Sometimes, even if we've done our research, we still can get stumped because we are thinking of the perfect answer. So again, you don't want to come off as like you're not prepared and you don't have an answer. So try your best to think about as many questions as they would possibly ask and go over and study those questions. That way, you'll be much more prepared to answer quickly and thoroughly when similar questions come up during the actual interview. Now, write out potential small talk questions. Why? Because we, introverts, We're bad at small talk, and that is just the way it is. We have to accept that. But hiring managers, they will engage in small talk because they're trying to, they think they're getting you comfortable, and yeah, and they're trying to judge your personality. So it really, really helps if you will write out even the small talk questions and practice with a family member. Now, familiarize yourself with your own resume. Yep, because this is a drawback of being an introvert. It's just the way it is. Okay, we have a hard time bragging about ourselves, right? We don't want to come off as arrogant or full of ourselves. So we just won't bring up certain accomplishments. I know that has happened to me several times. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to look over their resume and you're going to remind yourself of how great you are. And you're going to bring them up. Yeah. If they are asked, if they ask you about it, bring it up. Tell about all of your accomplishments. Now, let me tell you, being humble won't get you anywhere in a job interview. Introverts. So, if you have a written reference, look at your previous coworkers or employees. See what they had to say about you if you don't want to brag on yourself. Because these are things you can use to describe your personal strengths. I know I rely on that a lot. I like to ask my co-workers, like, well, what do you think about me? What is great? And whatever they say, I'm jotting it down so I could have that like in my memory bank. Now, schedule your day out strategically. Why do you want to do this? Because you know what? We're not hermits, and we do enjoy being around people and being social, but interacting with people tends to take so much energy. It takes, oh my God, it takes up a lot of energy. Now, it's not like the extrovert who gets a lot of energy from social interactions, right? So we need to have time to ourselves between social interactions. So what does this mean? That means you want to make sure you schedule your day around your job interview. You don't want to meet up with a group of people right before the interview because you're going to have no energy left to speak with the interviewer in an enthusiastic manner, okay? So please schedule your day. Don't use all your energy in another setting. Use it for the interview. Now, this is what you can do to prepare well during the interview, right? Thoroughly preparing for the interview is fine, but sometimes quiet confidence can come off as arrogant. And being an introvert, as we are, can make us seem shy and inattentive, even though we're not. So here are a few tips. Number one, bring your portfolio. Yeah, if you have your portfolio or your resume with you, you can reference it if the interview should ask any specific questions. Now, hey, I told you about this in a couple of podcasts back. You got to dress to impress. It doesn't matter if the company you interviewing for has a reputation of letting their employees dress down. You dress to impress, okay? Nope, don't go into a job interview wearing casual clothing because this will seem like you don't care. So make sure you wear the appropriate attire. And not only will the interview know that you are taking the interview seriously, but dressing up will also improve your self-confidence as well. Now, here, don't try to be something that you're not. If we're introverts, we're not extroverts, period. So the worst thing we can do is to try and pretend we're something that we're not. So even if somehow we pull off pretending to be outgoing during the interview, you're going to be provided a false impression of your personality. So if you get the job, now things are going to be awkward. So, hey, 50% of the population is introverted, okay? So the challenge is interviewing successfully and leaving a good impression. It's not trying to hide the fact that you are an introvert, okay? So don't try to be something you're not, and don't even be afraid to mention, I am an introvert, right? So if the interviewer knows that if they've done a little research or they're kind of smart about different personality types, they're less likely to think that you or myself or introverts are coming off as bored, arrogant, or shy. Okay. Now, use your listening skills. Now, that's something we do well. Introverts, we are excellent listeners, but it comes handy during the interview because that way we'll be able to tailor our answers more specifically to certain questions. instead of providing those canned responses. Now, much of the tone, match the tone of your interviewer, okay? Yep, that's where listening skills are going to come in handy. Because if your interviewer is coming off as serious or quiet demeanor, then you match it in an overall tone. If they're more laid back and cracking jokes, don't be afraid to be the same. Do the same. That's going to be a little hard. But pay attention. Pay attention to how they use their hands. If they are heavily relying on hand gestures, use your hands. So that's called mirroring. While you don't want to remember the word for word and gesture for gesture, but guess what? Matching their tone will help them feel at ease with you. Come on, introverts. You got to ace the interview. Take down these points and these strategies and these tips. Now, share ideas that you have. Okay? Don't hold back on ideas that you had or have popped up during the interview. Let me tell you something. Hiring managers love to hear new ideas. Okay. What does it do? It shows that you're actively thinking about the job and the company. Not to mention that they rather hire someone that has ideas than someone who does not. Now, ask your own questions, at the end of the day. Do you have any questions? Do you ask any questions? Yes. So ask the questions about the job or about the company, about the interviewer, or anything that pops into your head over the course of the interview. Why? The interview is probably going to ask, like I said, do you have any questions? So what is the point of that? Well, asking questions shows that you're interested in the position and that your interest is authentic. And besides, a job interview is about you figuring out if the company is a good fit for you, as much as it is the company figuring out if you're a good fit for them. Lastly, end on a high note. Tell the interviewer that it was nice to meet them. Give them an authentic smile, not a phony. Give them a real smile, a firm handshake. And guess what? A lot of time, the last thing you do leaves the impression that lingers the longest. I forgot the name of that principle that takes place then, because people tend to remember what happened first and what happened last. So please just don't run out. I know you feel like you're like, oh my God, I'm relieved. Just run out the door as soon as the interview is over. But no, don't do that. Give them a smile and a firm handshake. Now, introverts. Finding jobs as an introvert can be tough. Why? Because we have to get over the first hurdle, which is the interview. And let me tell you something. Sometimes as introverts, we have a difficult time leaving an accurate impression on the hiring manager. So that's why we should spend some time properly preparing for the interviews. All right. That's it for me. That is it for me. Next time, we're going to talk about some wildly famous introverts. Okay. So until next time, why don't you do me a favor? You know what I'm going to say. Like me on Facebook, connect with me on LinkedIn. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Is that all right? And let me say this. She-suites, we're telling those C-suites, we're coming at you. All right, everybody. Have a good one.
Welcome to the podcast for G's only. For G's only. And it's for all women who's at the C-suite level. CEO. And we're coming your way to share our stories in leadership. So we walking the walk, talking the talk, being the boss lady. Welcome to